All right.
Beautiful. You want to keep one?
Yeah, I'll keep one. I'm gonna jump up, like, kick things off.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I said where the photographs are. That makes sense. They
Hello,
show
everyone.
everybody. Sure. I think we're quite recognizable.
Hello.
Not really clear. It's fine for me.
We are going to kick off the next panel on NFTs. It's just going to be some casual chats with these lovely people here. But before that, I'm going to ask Paul Hearns to jump up on stage here. He has a survey that he wants to talk to you all about. So,
Thank you so much. My name is Paul Hearns from Blockchain Ireland, but with another hat on, I'm doing some work with ICT Skillnet, the Skills and Talent Agency. And we are running some surveys on preparing Ireland for a Web3 world. So essentially, doing some research to find out what are the educational resources that will be necessary to develop new generations of Web3 people. So there are two surveys. There's a developer builder survey and there's a business activity survey. So I'll leave the flyers around the place. If you see them, please scan the QR code you feel is most relevant, and we would be very grateful for your insights. So thank you very much. Enjoy the day.
Thank you.
here we go.
Thanks, man. That reminds me of another talk that I have, and it's called How to Get Scammed at a Conference. It's leaving flyers around with QR codes.
Hello. How are you all doing today? Welcome to Ethereum Ireland and this wonderful place, the Dog Patch Labs. My name is Jonathan, aka Rúnda Arts NFT. We're joined today by John Crain, the CEO of SuperRare, Niamh Orkney, and Frank Poncelet. You're all very welcome here today. Yeah, sure. I suppose we can all start by introducing each other. Do you want to introduce yourself first,
Yeah,
Frank?
sure. Most people know me as Frank NFT because NFT is way easier to pronounce than Poncelet. So let's keep it to that. So I've been in crypto since 2010 something. I'm an engineer. I run my own development company, which is called Hyperlabs. So I just wanted to know what the hell is a blockchain. So there was no monetary value in those days. You had to pay 10,000 Bitcoin to get 2 pizzas. And basically, I left the scene when all that became dedicated hardware. Okay, that was a mistake, but that is easy to say when you're looking back. And I came back in 2017 something-ish because I basically worked my whole life, and I'm still doing for what you guys all hate the most, and those are banks. And so I had a very big interest in programmable money. But that just floated around a little bit. It didn't do that much with it, basically. And then in 2000 and, help me here, 21, I read an article about NFTs. And the article, and I can make a bridge to you two, talked about 3 platforms being SuperRare, Foundation, and Known Origin. And I examined which of these 3 platforms, they were invite only, can I get on the most easy? Terribly sorry, friend. I chose for Foundation, but that was also a very good choice, well, because grinding on their Discord for that invite is where I met Niamh, and we're still friends after all these years, which is amazing. So I'll give it.
Yeah, I'll go next. Hi everyone, my name is Niamh. A lot of people know me as Irish because anyone from outside of Ireland cannot pronounce my name for life. So no one knows it's Niamh outside of Ireland. In the Web3 space, what I do on a daily basis the past 4 years is social media management. I'm also a consultant for several clients. It goes from SocialFi to GameFi, and I've worked with a couple of NFT marketplaces as well, so I'll be really enjoying this conversation talking to John today. I originally joined NFTs as an artist, from physical artist as a painter, quickly ran into AI, and then realised I'm actually better at marketing other people than myself, and I'm pretty good at marketing other people, so started to do that full time about 4 years ago now, in the Web3 space, and I absolutely love it, and I would never go back to traditional life worlds again.
Very cool. Yeah. I guess thanks to ETHDublin for inviting me out. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, my name is John. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of SuperRare, which is an NFT platform built on Ethereum and focused on art. And my entry into the space was a little bit meandering. I got interested in Bitcoin because I took an econ class in 2008, and the economy was collapsing, and I had no idea about anything with finance. And I asked the teacher, like, how is this even possible? Like, what do you mean all the money's just gone? Like, where did it go? So that kind of led me to this rabbit hole of like Austrian economics. And then in 2013, I learned about Bitcoin, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Programmable math-based money sounds kind of interesting. And so I was kind of on the periphery of crypto. And then in 2015, I saw Ethereum launch, which I thought was pretty interesting. My personal interests are always more in consumer tech and art and technology. My undergrad was in structural engineering and architecture. And so I got into the Ethereum space, and then I got very excited when I saw the launch of the ERC 721, or the non-fungible token standard. I had kind of seen what happened with all the ICOs over the summer of 2017 and thought, well, this would be really interesting if we get all these wallets and exchanges to start supporting unique digital assets. You know, if you think about the consumer web, you know, everything is an image and a title and a description. And so this will be really interesting if that whole landscape, you know, becomes sort of like ownable pieces of content. And so I left Consensus and started prototyping SuperRare with my two co-founders who are here in the audience, late 2017. And then we launched SuperRare on the Ethereum mainnet in April 2018.
Yeah, that's very interesting, John. And I looked, it's the first time I've actually met somebody that, you know, has created a platform that revolves around artists and art and bringing that into a new world. And to see what you're doing with regards to moving with all these different technologies as well is tough, I would imagine, especially when they're trying to throw these rules at you to try and stop art coming from different countries and stuff like that. I know you might have had a bit of trouble with that last year maybe, or the year before. I know Norwegian did anyways. But where do you see SuperRare in the next, we'll say, 5 years? Could you see like a screen going into different galleries in different countries, things like that? Could you see something like that happening?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's been really interesting to watch just like the art, you know, like we're very focused on art as a vertical. Obviously NFTs are super broad, but like most of our context is within the art market. And we really think about this as market expanding technology. So I don't, you know, I don't see us as kind of like taking market share from traditional auction houses, but more onboarding more collectors and kind of growing the net size of the art market. But that said, I think we'll be working very closely with the, you know, kind of traditional art world. Our focus has always been to be, or, you know, our strategy has been to be a bridge. So like, how do we kind of bring together crypto and art? And we've seen a bunch of really interesting acquisitions from, you know, very large art institutions. So for example, you know, MoMA famously added a Rafik Anadol NFT to their permanent collection pretty recently. The Pompidou in Paris acquired about 23 NFTs from I think 13 different artists. And so we're starting to see these, you know, very established institutions building collections. And, you know, they're all asking questions about like, you know, how do we preserve this art? How do we exhibit it? Like, you know, they're not known for moving fast, but you know, I guess, you know, they don't need to, they're museums. So they do a good job of moving slow. But they're definitely all asking, I think, the right questions. And I think we'll see a lot more of that in the future.
Very good, very good. And Niamh, from the perspective of a woman that's gone to all these different IRL events and met up with other people just like John, what would you say would be the biggest lesson that you would have learned going from the art world into the Web3 advisor role that you have?
Yeah, definitely that networking is the most important thing. I don't know, like, for example, can I get a raise of hands here? Anyone 6 and all of us. So marketing is really difficult when it comes to NFTs, but I find it easier than the traditional world. I think it's easier to make it and be successful with thanks to marketplaces because they help you with marketing. It's not just you as a solo artist alone. As a, you know, you're an entrepreneur. If you're an artist, if you're a developer, you're an entrepreneur. Like when it comes to Web3, where you're learning as you go, there's no one that can really tell you what to do. So it's the research involved in those connections. So when I first met Frank, it was being able to ask him like really difficult, complex questions about smart contracts to make sure I don't get scammed, to make sure that I can like
Trying to get him to simplify it for you.
She still does that.
I still do it. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Like you need to have a developer as your best friend if you're not a developer yourself. I tried to study computer science and it wasn't for me. I went into the creative route and I absolutely loved it. And then I specialized in UX design. I'm a visual. I'm not more technical. I'm definitely more visual. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's a place in Web3 for everyone. With networking, with attending in real life events, you find your people. You find those people that it's not just like developers everywhere. It's not just artists everywhere. It's mixed together.
I can tell, yeah. There's probably, I'd say, at least 10 in this room, different types of Web3 companies right now between artists and all these different types of financial companies and that are entering into it, and shops. And what about yourself, Frank? I'll ask you a similar question to Niamh. What would you say that you've learned the most in the last 3 or 4 years traveling the IRL sector?
The world. Well, it's basically what Niamh said. It's about networking. It's about meeting people. It's about doing business with them. And yeah, you don't do business on a beach party in Lisbon, but you learn to get to know the guy, the girl, whatever. And if you're lucky, they will come back afterwards. So it's really about that networking. And that networking is, I'm not able to do it on Discords or Twitter DMs or whatever. The meeting somebody in real life is just much more important.
Of course, I would 100% agree with
But
you.
you triggered me with something else earlier on, so I'm gonna dive into that one. I want to see how John reacts on it. So SuperRare and Ordinals and runes and all that stuff. I don't know where SuperRare stands at the moment. I first want to do an experiment, and Niamh, you're not allowed to answer because you know the right answer. So I'll give it to you two. Please answer short, so no sentence, one or two words. What is the most important thing in crypto?
Economic sovereignty.
In crypto, financial freedom.
Yeah, you always get this kind of shit. Niamh, what's the right answer?
I feel like, no, you're going to put me in the bubble now and I'm going to sound bad.
Okay. No. Nah, I never do that to you. No, the right answer is when Lambo. That's the right answer. Now, what's an ordinal? And what's a rune? It's a bumper sticker on that Lambo. And I said it first. It was not Mika that said it first. I said it first in Tallinn. So where does SuperRare stand with the whole ordinals and runes things? And are you going to do something with it, or you say no?
Yeah, we actually, I mean, so we're going to be where the artists are. So I think it's really, we're not the moral authority on which blockchains are best, but more just like wherever there's interesting art, we're going to be part of that ecosystem. And so we did a drop with Killer Acid, who's one of the artists we've worked with. He was actually the first artist who minted on our Ropsten testnet in like 2017. But we did an ordinals drop with him, so we did 40 unique ordinals. I think it's super interesting, like the fact that there's more constraints around what the art can be, and it's not just a link to kind of like arbitrary off-chain metadata is super interesting. And the fact that it's on Bitcoin, I think, is cool. Obviously, that's the most secure network now. Personally, I'm a fan of ordinals. I think we'll do more in that space for sure.
We'll say now for you've SuperRare as a platform, and Ethereum is where you started. and you're speaking about ordinals and runes. Could you see SuperRare, like would say, chaining loads of different blockchains into its platform, or will it just be Ethereum and BTC?
Yeah, I think if you look forward 5 years, like we're fairly agnostic. So we're, like right now, we're seeing lots of experimentation on the Ethereum layer 2s, like Base and Zora. We're also seeing lots of artists using Solana, Ordinals, I think, and really like, well, if we're doing our job, we're cataloging the best art, and we're kind of like presenting that to collectors so they can make, educated purchasing decisions.
Yeah, I think as an artist, and I don't know, how many artists in the room? No. Okay, few. As an artist, you want to sell your work, you want to make your work, we also want to sell your work. And I think it's quite important that you go to where the hype is. Ethereum was the hype in 21. We've now seen the Ordinals hype. We see a move to Solana, and now we see a move to the level 2s on Ethereum. And it's maybe a little bit weird to say, but as an artist, you have to follow that. And of course, the platforms have to support you in that, because if there's no platform to sell your stuff on, you can't do it. And so we'll give them some alpha, Eve.
Anna, you want me to share this, eh?
Yeah.
Everyone in here is going to hate me. No, basically, because SuperRare talks a lot about on-chain art, on-chain, this is a very good question that I've been hounding Frank on about how can I actually create an on-chain art collection. And I've been working on one like the past year, and I am going to launch it today. But Frank is terrible, and it's basically to do with Irish heritage. So it's because of, honestly, it's because I worked in the tourism industry my whole life, like before college, and there's mainly USA, tourists that are here, and everyone always asks for like my heritage, the plaque, and it's actually like one of the number one most seller like gifts when Americans come to Ireland for their family as a gift, so Cave would be inspiration for that.
Yeah, but basically I had an intern last year who wanted to work on on-chain art, and at that moment there was no talk about ordinals yet. And we were mainly looking at Ethereum, and she made this whole study, and Neve was volunteering to make the art for it. And in the end, we decided not to launch it because it would cost a fortune just to mint it all on Ethereum. And that's why we're now going to Base, because there it will be affordable to mint it, because the storage there is just a lot cheaper.
Very cool. What's the collection called?
Celtic heritage.
All right.
Yes. And with SuperRare, I haven't, like, the only time I've used it is with NFT Yearbook. Are you aware of
Yeah,
that?
for sure.
So I did one of their covers. So I have one artwork on SuperRare, but it's not on my personal profile. It's through the NFT Yearbook collection.
Right.
And I think they had like 200 artworks or something. It was a physical artwork, and I have it at home, and it's amazing to see like that they have a yearbook of NFT artists and everything. My question for you was that, like, what do you see as the number one like best, or not best seller, but the best chain right now, like the easiest to use for a lot of artists? Because I think what Frank said, like Base seems to be the most popular now. Do you see it like remaining with like Bitcoin or remaining with Ethereum?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I think they're ending up with sort of like their own different use cases, like the collectors who are who are buying the higher value one of ones. They do, like, a lot of those people are thinking about security, so I think they feel more comfortable buying a $10,000 artwork on Bitcoin or Ethereum. But we're seeing we're also seeing tons of experimentation at the other layers. So Xcopy, who's a famous artist that's been on SuperRare for a while, he did an open edition mint on Base and had like over 1 million editions get minted by 40,000 or about 40,000 different wallets in 24 hours. And so I think it's almost becoming like part of the medium, I guess, and just it's like, I wouldn't say one's more popular than the other. It kind of like depends on the collectors. Although like obviously the layer 2s are having lots of hype, and there's more transactions because they're close to free.
I get your point there, because if you're selling something that is super high value, when my niece and myself, when we started on Foundation, it was pretty normal to pay $200-300 just to mint your artwork,
Yeah.
and then you have to pay another transaction to approve it, and another transaction to actually put it for sale. But yeah, if you're in the lower segment, yeah, it really skims your profit, to call it like that.
Yeah,
So
or it eliminates it. You have to like wait for like the appropriate time when gas is low to go mint. And we have some artists who, you know, their work lends itself to larger collections, and yeah, you know, like the pricing is a huge challenge there. So I think, again, like we're kind of expanding our tool set, and we'll have, you know, we're as a platform are agnostic and really just want to give artists and collectors good tools.
From an educational standpoint, because this is my first learning of Base, would Base be kind of attached to Ethereum in the way, say if I wanted to go and buy a piece of art, would the gas be charged in Base rather than Ethereum? Is that the way it works, or?
no, actually, Ethereum is the gas currency of Base.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
so I've mixed up.
So Base is level 2 on top of Ethereum, and so is Polygon, for instance.
Yeah.
But on Polygon, you have this Matic that is your gas money. But the guys of Coinbase, they decided not to do that, and they just charge it also in Ethereum. But it's just a factor 100 cheaper. So where I now would pay, I don't know, $20 to mint something, I will pay $0.2 to mint something. And it's still Ethereum, but it's just cheaper.
Yeah.
Cheaper.
Way
so
cheaper.
It would entice more collectors to buy more from artists, because I could see that towards the end of 2021, where a lot of collectors weren't purchasing artworks because they might, you know, they'd be buying a piece of art that's 2,000 or 3,000 worth of Ethereum, and then they were paying the same in gas for it on top of that. So would the likes of Base and Matic and all of that, would that kind of take that away from it a bit?
Yeah, that's the whole idea. Now, if you're paying 2,000-3,000 in gas, then you were really horrible in timing. That was the other side. No, that was even during peaks, like the other side mint and stuff like that. Then it went really off the chart. But yeah, paying $200-300 in 21 was pretty normal on Foundation.
Yeah, no, the gas prices were crazy. And I think, I mean, with the layer 2s, like, they're less secure. So you're getting like high throughput transactions that eventually settle to Ethereum. So like over time, they're secure. In the short term, they're less secure. So it's this trade-off. But for additions, you know, if it's an addition, if it's artwork that's, you know, $10, then you need less security than something that's $10,000 or $100,000.
Yeah, well, look at, hey, I'm fairly out of questions here for the three of you myself, to be honest with you. I've came up here today. This is my second ever IRL event, and thank you all for everyone at ETHDublin for inviting me here, and I'm sure all of you can be the same. I didn't get a chance to really introduce myself. I'm an artist from the west of Ireland myself. I'm a poetry artist. I'm about 3/4 the way through my first poetry book publishment. And what I do is I create the artwork with either AI, or I draw it or use Photoshop. I record my voice over for the piece of art, and I put it all together on the blockchain. I haven't everything that I've created on the blockchain now, but I use multiple blockchains. I use Solana, Ethereum, and Tezos. So it's about, you know, using the whole blockchain technology for me, and Ethereum would have been the one that I started out with. And obviously I love Ethereum. Ethereum will be my number one. It's where I have most of my artwork. And then seeing all these other different blockchains developing and finding all the different, we'd say, links to them, you know, the layer 2s that are linking all of them. It's going to be fun to see which way that goes over the next 5 years as an artist and just a Web3 entrepreneur. And it's been an honor here to listen to three people with really good experience out there doing big things in the world in the Web3 environment. So that's the last word that I have to say anyways for today, and thank you.
We still have some time left, so let's turn the table. And is there anybody in the audience that has a question for us? Yeah, I knew that guy.
Thanks, Frank. So the other three on stage are going to be biased, so this is aimed at John. In 21, we had an NFT season. It went crazy, for want of a better word. Can you expect something similar to happen on base, or has the space matured where we're not going to be speculating at these crazy valuations? Or do you still think there's a chance that we get this insane season happening again because people never learn?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, I think the market comes back, but I think it'll evolve, right? I think it's not going to look the same as it did before. I don't think we'll see, low effort 10K PFPs, selling out for millions of dollars. So I think it's, the hype cycle, the trough of disillusionment, and now we're kind of on our way back up. And I think, at least in the market that we're in, like within art, we're still seeing kind of like slow, steady collector growth. We're seeing artists developing their careers. So I think it's a trailing indicator. I think if there's a really big crypto bull run, we'll see kind of money flow back into NFTs, but I think it's a trailing indicator, and I think that hype cycle is going to look different. So I think it'll be exciting, but maybe less silly than like every PFP that drops sells out instantly.
Hi. Yeah, my question is more so, I guess, related to crypto UX and targeting the layperson who's not within crypto Twitter and the crypto ecosystem. So I'd be interested in hearing like what your guys' thoughts are on, the current friction points that exist within Web3 for the average person, and how you feel like we're going to move forward with, getting like a mainstream application live, and what you feel is like left to be abstracted for the average person to actually use something like SuperRare or a Web3 app in their day-to-day life.
I can go. Yeah, I think the UX, obviously things are still a little clunky, but it's also gotten quite a lot better in the last 2 years. So like, I think all the account abstraction stuff that people have been working on is really interesting, and also just like, the paymaster type methods where like the back end can really abstract away lots of the complications of a transaction. So I think it's pretty close. I'd say it's orders of magnitude better than it was in 2021 even. Obviously there's still kind of some weird, kinks and quirks to work out. But I think a lot of that infrastructure is being built just like in the way we've seen with some of these layer 2s and the account abstraction stuff. It's really interesting. I also think like if how many people, have anyone in here heard of Farcaster or Warpcast? Yeah, okay, that's half the room maybe. So I think that stuff's really interesting too, where it's like, crypto light, where there's some crypto features, but to get like the base experience, you don't really have to engage with them, but they're kind of like there and sort of like lead you to, it's like top of the funnel, and then you can get more sophisticated. I think that's really interesting, and probably where we end up, where like, I like their terminology of just like the minimum decentralized social network. I think that's really interesting. So, I don't know. I think the UX is getting there basically.
On UX part, I think our main problem is still the same. I can't go out in the street here and go to some random guy, girl, and say, okay, we're gonna put your net worth on 24 words, and if you lose them, you lose everything. That is still, I think, the major overcome on onboarding a lot of people. And the one moment that one guy, girls invents something that fixes that in a good way, because there are already a few solutions, but I don't want to put my net worth on my Google account either, and I know there are a few solutions like that. But when we find that, then it will become a more interesting space for everybody.
I think it's a really good question, and it's something I think about probably every day. I primarily use crypto cards because I find them so much easier to use when you're traveling, that you can pay directly with crypto. There's several that I use, but Ledger is probably one of the best ones, and like quite easy to use, but unfortunate that you kind of have to bring your laptop everywhere with you as like a crypto native, and that's a huge problem. I have
They think you guys left with the UK.
There's so many different reasons as to why it's not really working, but you know, it's not any of our faults. It's just we're still not really ready right now. I think we still have to keep working with developers and make sure that we have good relationships with developers because they're the only ones that are going to make our lives easier.
Hi. From the artist perspective, one of the early expectations or predictions around NFTs in the art world was an ongoing, lifelong relationship between the artist and the art, both from a revenue and a reputational perspective. How has that played out? Is that really taking place? Is there any usefulness to it?
I think they're both broken already. A lot of platforms, and I think Blur started this trend. They turned off the royalties and they got into war with OpenSea and so on. You have platforms, of course, like SuperRare and Foundation that say, no, we maintain this. But if you look at the mass platforms, to call it like that, yeah, they already turned it off. So the royalty thing, it's already gone. And then your second part of your question is the relation between the artist and, well, how many artists that started with Neve and myself on Foundation in 21 are actually still there? So I think that one is broken too. So I don't know what John thinks about it, but I think both questions it's broken.
Yeah, the royalties was always really interesting. We actually debated this quite a bit, like internally, just like you could try to enforce them on chain, but then they're not really sovereign assets. They're these like encumbered assets where you have like partial title to, you don't have complete title to it. We enforce them, so like things that trade on our platform do pay royalties, but I think the market kind of voted, and it turns out the speculators don't really care about paying artist royalties, which probably shouldn't be terribly shocking.
You guys going to sue you now?
But I think as far as, I still, like, the way I think about NFTs and art is that the art market is almost like, in my mind, it's an artificially small market because there's so much opacity. There's like, most of the data is proprietary. You have platforms like ArtNet who are like, scraping auction data, but like lots of the, gallery transactions are not tracked in any, it's hard to access that market information. And if you think about something like stocks, like it'd be very weird if you were like, what's the price of Google? And it just said like, inquire to find out the price of Google stock today. So like, we are creating sort of like infinitely better data about these artifacts than we've ever had before. You kind of have pristine provenance, and that you know exactly when a token was created, by which address it was created, any other addresses that have interacted with that artifact. And so I think it'll help tell the story, like 30 years from now, we're gonna have a lot of rich, interesting information about these, kind of like digital objects that we don't have. It's like, nobody knows how many Picassos there are. There's tons of forgeries. What's the average size of a Picasso? Like, this is stuff you can't really look up, and you will be able to look up this information about NFTs much more easily.
There's one thing that simplified it for me when I started NFTs is that historical element to this artwork is going to be coded on the internet for all time. Now everybody knows there's only one Mona Lisa in the world, but yet we see pictures of Mona Lisa everywhere, and that doesn't make it your Mona Lisa. Do you get where I'm coming from? Whereas blockchain offers us that simplified measures. Okay, you can take my artwork, but it's written there in my code and I own that. And regardless of you saying, oh, I can download that and now it's mine, yeah, it's yours, you get a copy of that, not a bother, but at the end of the day, you do not claim ownership or own that piece of artwork, and if you do in the future, you're going to have trouble, you know what I mean? And that's what I think blockchain offers a lot of us as artists that we don't really know in the historical aspect, you know what I mean? Your art is going to be there. So you have a good chance of lasting on the internet with your artwork a lot longer than you would a physical piece on a wall. Do you get where I'm coming from? I can see the internet being around, could be here for 200-300 years. We don't know until it changes. So and blockchain and Web3 is the new niche in that regard. Like, so we're only really at the start of it, and coming from just a creative aspect, that would be the main reason why I would put my art on a blockchain. It's for historical value, and you know what I mean. Nobody can take it away from you. That that is your creation. Then, even if they do go and try and take it from you, so that'd be my way of answering that.
I'm gonna fight that. Sorry.
Go for it.
So
Let's go.
it is only true if the artwork is effectively on chain. If we look at I'm constantly using foundation just to annoy him, so I'm gonna do it more. Let's say now he's gonna love me, but let's say tomorrow foundation goes out of business. They don't have any money anymore. Their war chest is empty. The company stops existing. What is the next thing that will happen? They will stop paying their IPFS bills. And all the art that Neve and me and all the other artists made, they will actually effectively disappear in 6 months unless SuperRare comes and saves us and says, okay, we will pay the IPFS bill so they stay there. So these artworks aren't on chain. There is a record on chain that I own something that is saved under that URL. But if somebody stops paying for that URL to be there, that URL will effectively disappear. And I have an example of that one. It's a PFP collection, and it's called Earth Panda. And Earth Panda was a game. It was developed in China. And the game on its own was absolutely not popular. But the token was popular because if you look them up, you will see they're like super cute. The Earth Pandas are super cute. And what happened? Well, the game was not popular, so the developers had no revenue, so they went out of business and they pulled the plug on the servers. Now those were stored on Amazon, even so they were gone in 60 seconds. Those guys came to me because, I'm the most notorious guy in Web3 for something very specific. I brought the V1 CryptoPunks back with my wrapper. They came to me, the Earth Pandas came to me and said, can we reuse your wrapper to actually bring the Earth Pandas back? But I needed the images. And there, OpenSea was basically so nice because they had everything in their caching systems. So we could pull out all the images again with the help of some scripts out of OpenSea. We created a wrapper and we put them back on IPFS. So now they're paying for the IPFS bill, but if they stop paying the IPFS bill, their pandas are gone again.
So it's basically a trust thing. It's basically a trust thing of what you're saying. Do you trust that to be there forever?
Yeah. And you rely on companies like Foundation, like SuperRare to keep paying their bills or keep paying their nodes up because they
You got to back up your art.
Back up your art, indeed. And if it disappears, come and find me. I might make you a wrapper and I'll put them somewhere else.
But I think what's nice with, and like one of the reasons we don't use AWS at SuperRare is like with an IPFS hash, it's not just any file at a certain path. It's a specific file. So you kind of like, if you have the file and the certificate, then like together, I think that's really what makes the piece of art. So
yeah. I was supposed to meet somebody in Lisbon, didn't turn out. There was hackathon. I don't know if it's he or she, so I'm going to call him a he. He made very, very early AI art. There were ERC20 tokens, and also those are completely lost. And we're also wrapping those now with a new wrapper and there then you could see the hash was hard-coded even in the ERC20. And I said, send me the file. And he sent me a file, put it up. No, that's not the file. I said, that's the file. And he said, that is not the file because the hash is not matching. It was quite interesting for him to go searching where the hell, where is the real original file?
Yeah.
But he found them back.
Yeah. If one pixel was different, it wouldn't match.
So basically, if one of these companies did essentially get rid of their right, they didn't pay their bills. There's the likes of a person out there like yourself that
still within that time limit. It takes about 6 months before IPFS takes them down. It's not immediate. And you can still save them on some kind of a hard drive, then yes, you can save the tokens. But if you don't have that, the tokens are forever lost.
So go on chain. Lesson of the evening. I think we're finished now. Or we have 1 minute left. 1 minute left.
Yeah, just we can make this a lightning round, but it's not a good panel unless everyone has a chance to get a little salty. So I wanted to ask each of you, based on the past few years' experience in the NFT space, what's the best part about the NFT space, and what's the worst part? Like favorite part, least favorite part of NFT market.
I'll go first. My favorite part is definitely the freedom that you get with it. I haven't traveled as much as I have since joining. I would say that probably, and getting to meet and networking is always great when you get to go to Web3 events and get invited overseas. I've been to loads of new countries with thanks to NFTs. The worst part is definitely that everyone knows someone that got hacked. It's devastating, and it brings people away. They will leave and probably never come back. And it's kind of it's kind of our own faults in a way as well, because we're not doing enough research. But not everyone is mentally able to have the time to do those research, right? So that would be probably the main two. Yeah.
Yeah, I can only agree to that. I usually say it, and I will offend the whole room, including the panel now, except for one person. There's only one person in Web3 that I trust, and that is Neve. Definitely not myself. And I think that is the absolute worst part of the Web3 space. You know, if you meet somebody, I've actually known people, Velinova in the V1 Discord, she also got involved into a long hack where they really social engineered her for months, eventually offering her a job, and yeah, the job was a wallet drainer. You just don't know it, you know. So for me, that is definitely the worst part in this space. And yeah, the good part is indeed, yeah, you meet also a lot of wonderful people. Well, I suppose 99% are not scammers in here, but there is that 1%.
At least one.
Probably works for SuperRare.
I suppose I'll go with my favorite part for me would be the creative engagement side on X. I host Twitter Spaces once or twice a week for poetry and artists in general, people that are into NFTs, and meeting people from different cultures. I suppose I met Neve on Spaces. I met many other Irish people, and yeah, I've got most of my connections would be from X Spaces. I know it's Twitter Spaces, but yeah. That would be my favorite side of it, learning all the different cultures and seeing all the different creatives from different parts of the world. Especially right now, you have a lot of artists uprising out of Iran and Syria, and you'd have people from Palestine all kind of, going against the fray of genocide and things like that are happening. And I seeing that, for me, that's where I'm at. I create with purpose. I create for reason and things like that. So that would be my favorite side, just learning about all of the different cultures, what people are going through, why they create in certain ways, and that for me would be my favorite. My least favorite, yeah, I will echo your chamber there, and seeing people getting hacked is not a nice thing. I think the lack of simplicity when you're trying to get involved and learn about these things, I think the security element of it can scare, let's say, the people that are actually interested in getting involved. That for me would be my least favorite. I would second Frank in that, you know what I mean? That certain amount of words you need, if you lose them words, that's your, you know what I mean, your wallet, everything gone. If we can find a way of simplifying things to onboard more people, not only in the art world, but, as Neve said, crypto cards and all of that, bank cards, you should be able to pay for your food online, you should be able to go about and pay for all these simple things. But it'll just show you how early we are to the game when these things aren't developed yet. And I can't imagine where we're going to be in the likes of by 2030, 2035. You know, this room, I could see all of these rooms being filled with people, you know what I mean, because it's part of our world right now and it's just getting there, it's just moving in that direction. So that's all I'd have to say on that subject.
Yeah, I'd say the best part has been just meeting a bunch of really interesting people from all over the world. It's definitely been the coolest part of the job. And the worst thing, I won't say while it's getting hacked again because that's the only thing that's bad that's happened. I don't know, I feel like there's like, it's great that there's all these creatives in the room, but then there's also, to some extent, like a lack of creativity and like there's just like more new NFT marketplaces or like NFT launch pads, and like I think we could be experimenting more with just the tech and how people use it, and it's I think we're starting to see that now with like Base and some of these layer 2s things being cheaper, so more interesting smart contracts getting developed. But over the past few years, things got a little bit stale. But maybe that was just everyone being depressed during the bull market. I don't know, or the bear.
Okay, thank you all. And,
thank you all.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So much.
and your colleagues, let's do a selfie.
Thank you, everyone. 1, 2, 1, 2.